It's been a nice tradition on this channel to make a video where I stack a flagship smartphone against decade-old camera phones. And you know them quite well already. The first one is Nokia 808 PureView, and the other one is Nokia Lumia 1020. And this time they're joined by the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Lots of megapixels, lots of potential. 808 has a built-in ND filter, and other two can shoot in RAW, so that's a lot to compare. Usually I start with a small game where I show 12 photos and give you a few seconds to guess which one belongs to which phone. And afterwards we'll look at a few more photos and compare the results. And I promise you, this time it will be harder. It's Alex here, welcome to the Geeks Table, and let's start our game. Good luck! So, how was the game? I bet it was quite tough to guess, wasn't it? It's because this time I took a different approach. Each time I was about to take a photo, I would carefully pick up the settings on the Nokia phones. No point and shoot, that's what iPhone does. And afterwards, I edited all those photos in Lightroom. Just color grading, no AI enhancing stuff. And also, there was a rule, not more than 5 minutes per photo edit. And now let me show you a few more examples. Honestly, it's just surprising that we can get relatively similar images from all three phones. With Nokia phones, you may need more time to get there, but the fact that it's possible blows my mind. Of course, without color editing, we can easily see the weak points of the phones. Whenever it's a cloudy day and the light is just neutral, the photos look very close to each other. And check out the sharpness. Now let's switch to the originals, and well, they are a bit desaturated and overexposed, so that's why I had to fix that in post. Same issue was with these ones. Too much exposure and lack of saturation. So 5 minutes later, I got this, and I can leave any of these photos in my vacation album. This one was shot at the sunset, with a bit of a fog coming from the bay, and yeah, I can give credit to the iPhone here for preserving the sky. But others are not that far behind, and this is how it looked before the editing. If you're shooting hundreds of photos or videos, you might run out of free storage pretty quickly, and a portable SSD may come in handy. Imagine you're on vacation or just having a picnic out of town, and wherever you go, an extra SSD is just there, snapped to the back of the phone. This one is PULWOTP BS228A, and it's a bit different from the others that I reviewed before. It is bigger, so it supports an M2 SSD of any size, so if you have a full-sized one already, you can simply reuse it over here. It's also made of plastic, so it's quite light to carry, and this is a good thing if you're doing backpacking, for example. And on top of that, you can still charge your phone through this enclosure. And if you have wired headphones, you can connect them to it as well, either via audio jack or USB-C. The speed is on par with similar enclosures. You're getting the maximum of what an iPhone supports right now, but because it's made of plastic, it may get quite hot during the external recording. So if you plan to shoot ProRes, then every 20 to 30 minutes you might want to cool it down. But as a data storage or endless MP4 recording, it's a compelling option. The link will be in the description. Alright, let's move on, and next I'd like to focus, no pun intended, on the sharpness. I think it's exceptional. Sharpness is something we can't really fix in post, unless it's a minor fix or we use those fancy AI tools. And here we have such crispy looking photos straight out of the box. I really appreciate that. Even at night. If you ever tried taking a photo like this with a smartphone without a tripod, you know how challenging it can be. And if we zoom in, we'll see how good these cameras actually are. Or have a look at this one. It's not a close-up shot, but I admire the details here as well. Let's zoom in over here to have a better look. And iPhone does some sharpening in post, but because I shot everything in RAW, the post-processing is not that heavy compared to the JPEGs, and it looks more natural. Here is another example of all three phones just being great tools. I might have tweaked the contrast and color balance in order to get there, but at least they all are sharp from the start. All three sensors can give us this bokeh effect, and that's pure optics, no portrait mode at all. And honestly, I don't even know which of these photos I like the most. The rope is sharp, the shore is blurry, and we have parity across all three cameras here. But of course there are some limitations. When the subject is a bit more complicated, the iPhone is able to keep it all in focus. 808 focused on the pastel and 1020 on the petals, leaving the rest unfocused. It's because they take only one image at a time, while iPhone does a lot and then stitch them all together. Same applies to this scenario where the wall is in the shadow while the background landscape is under the direct sunlight. The iPhone could stack a few photos together with different exposure and keep both the wall and the landscape bright enough. For both Nokia phones, I had to use a flashlight to achieve somewhat similar results. But don't worry, in most scenarios all three phones will handle it just fine. It's funny, but in this photo, the background blur looks more artificial on the iPhone. Maybe it's just me, but I think Nokia phones did a better job here. Now let's address the thing that can help you to identify the phone by the photo in no time, the automatic white balance. If you look at these photos without editing, you can easily say, this one is more magenta, then this is 808. This one is more yellow, it's the iPhone. This one is more blue, it's 1020. And after some editing, we finally come to something close to the reality. Or let's look at this picture from the museum. Judging by the tint, one can tell exactly the camera that this photo was shot on. And again, a few manipulations and the photos look almost the same. And I have to say that it's a recurring pattern with all three cameras. And it shows how much the image processing can add to the reality that you're trying to capture. I don't know about you, but now I'm thinking of editing and fixing every photo I've taken. Now let's have a look at a few more challenging scenarios. If you're shooting against the direct sunlight, smartphone sensors fail miserably almost every time. This is the most workable result that I could get. And all three photos in reality looked like this. You may hide the sun behind some object, like this palm tree, and get a counterlight image with the silhouettes of the palm trees, and iPhone and Lumia are capable of shooting raw photos, so it was possible to preserve some information in both shadows and highlights. 808 can't do that, but ironically, it produced the most eye-catching photo among the three. Let's switch to the next one, and this is one more photo where 808 was the best in my opinion. The idea was pretty simple. Very dark walls on the left and right, with a shining church in the middle. The iPhone oversharpened the image here, and if we look at the initial photo, we can immediately see that the iPhone completely missed my intention. This one was another challenging scene, with orange trees in the dark and the house under the direct sunlight. I wasn't able to make identical photos here, but they are somewhat similar. And here is the original. It's obvious that HDR photos are not the strongest side of the Nokia phones. So whenever there is a distinct shadow part and a highlight part, it may be challenging to have everything perfectly leveled. And iPhone will obviously win here. But on the contrary, when you wish the shadows to stay dark and highlights to stay bright, as they are in real life, when you want to create a mood and not just capture the moment, the Nokia phones simply do it better. Of course, then you'll need some editing to make it look a bit nicer, but still. And now it's time to go dark. More recent cameras are way better in shooting in low light conditions, but look, all three photos are comparable. Typical counterlight scenario is also comparable, but of course we have to tweak the settings before making a shot. All three phones are capable of making long exposure shots, so you can get some sort of light trails and blurry cars. Of course, iPhone saves much more information, so if we wanted to make this picture to look much brighter, it would only be possible with the iPhone photo. And to wrap it up, here is one of my favorite shots. I could easily take any of them and put into a frame or set as a wallpaper. If you look briefly at the initial photos, I bet you wouldn't believe your eyes. And Lumia was the closest to the reality, by the way. And so, after just a few edits, we got these shots. Nokia camera phones may not be point-and-shoot cameras, but they are still quite capable. You just need to pick up the right settings and do a 5 minutes post-production. And that's it. I hope it was entertaining, and thank you for watching. Hit a like if you enjoyed this video and consider subscribing. It's been Alex, and see you at the Geeks table. Bye bye.